We're at chapter 5 of traveling and listening to Jesus on the way to Jerusalem and the cross. And here Jesus starts out in chapter 13 of Luke talking about a current event. It must have been what was on people's minds. And I mentioned to you throughout this book that Jesus allows other people to choose the topics that he talks about, at least where he starts. He starts where people are at. We need to do the same thing when we're talking to people and want them to really know about Jesus. We start with where they are, and they were talking about this awful thing that had happened where Pilate had killed a number of Jewish people. And Jesus asked them a question about, well, did this happen because these people were sinful? And he says that's not why they were killed. And he names some other situations and says, no, that's people sinning is not why this happened. And he's constantly trying to correct a wrong understanding, what I call the Job syndrome, where Job's accusers kept saying, well, the reason you're having all these problems is because you must have sinned. And poor Job, frustration, finally says, well, I don't know. But one thing I know, my Redeemer lives, and I'm going to serve him. Wonderful response. Jesus is trying to correct this kind of thinking in the opening of chapter 13, and then he tells this story about the fig tree. Now, what's the fig tree story really about? I'll give you a hint. It's really about Israel. At the time that we're doing this book and this video, Israel is in a war. It's interesting what Dr. McGee says about that, Israel and being involved in war. The number 3 is important in this story, and the number 10. Now, the number 10, you need to understand that a fig tree normally bears fruit 10 out of 12 months. It's one of the most valuable commodities that Israel could raise. They usually put them around vineyards because if the vineyard failed that year, which was possible if they didn't get all the right weather and rain and moisture and whatever, but fig trees, they normally bore fruit for 10 months. So they were a highly valued commodity to Israel. And so Jesus, aware of that, and probably when he was teaching, he could point to the fig trees. Jesus' teaching was always so image-driven. Luke doesn't seem to be concerned to tell these stories in a chronological way or a geographical way. He puts these stories that Jesus told between Galilee and Jerusalem in a way to help us understand who Jesus really is. He wants us to get Jesus, as the publications we see on television today. He gets us. Well, we need to first get him and understand who Jesus really is, and that's what Luke is trying to help us with. And he brings in this story that Jesus told about the fig tree. It is a current event story. If you update its meaning originally to where we are today, pay attention. He's trying to help us even today as the current events. He started out with a current event and certainly the fig tree is a current event story. So pay attention. You will appreciate it.